Hello, Pastor Steve Waldron here. We're going to do our second review of The Glory of God in the Face of Jesus Christ by David K. Bernard. Now, you can see I've read through the whole book, wrote myself some notes here as I was going through the book. Write down page numbers and everything, and write myself some more notes in the back. What's going on? So, what are my conclusions? I'll go to the good conclusions first. First of all, this is from a historical viewpoint, the very best book on oneness out there. It just shows that the early church, the setting of it was in radical oneness of Second Temple Jewish monotheism, and that they incorporated the worship of Jesus Christ directly into that. The Jews would not have been worshiping a second or a lesser deity, and so even though there were certain branches or different sects or people in Judaism that would maybe give some type of honor to Michael or Metatron or something like that, or even some of the Old Testament saints, they would not have worshipped Jesus as absolute deity and written in him about him as absolute deity. So fantastic, major, home run, dead center, 550 feet. It's amazing in that. Now, the things that are a little weaker in this book, or just things I personally just didn't care much for, is I know this is the off branch of his doctoral dissertation for University of South Africa. So he kind of had to write in a certain way. You know, first of all, I've had friends of mine really complain, this doesn't bother me as bad as it does them. But like when he refers to AD or BC, he does the before the common era and the common era thing. Certain things, like when he quotes the letter from Pliny the Younger to Trajan, most people translate that, they sing hymns to Christ as to God. He would kind of do the more, liberal or secular translation of that. They sing hymns to Christ as to a God, little g. Scriptural preservation, he would take a very interesting view. His basis for his text is the New Revised Standard Version. But he would, he would present, let's say, a Deutero-Isaiah without really coming out and saying, I'm against that. I'm sure this was just because of his professors and stuff like that. Like the authorship of 2 Corinthians, he would kind of leave it dangling whether he felt Paul wrote 2 Corinthians 6:14 through 7:1. As far as postmodern hermeneutics, which a lot of Pentecostals seem to think really further our hermeneutic, he would go into that, strands of being, and just make some statements like he would say Paul was really influenced by Stoic thought and this type thing. I think you really can't say that he was or wasn't. I think that's all speculative. Let me just read you a couple, 3 things out of here. Just read it. This is off the top of my head. So it says, there's a dramatic rapid shift. I'm coming in mid-sentence here, and from the preface. From Western to Southern Christianity, in which non-Western theology, spirituality, and praxis are influencing, modifying, or replacing traditional Western forms. Now, that's good, especially with the Trinity. Postmodern hermeneutics emphasizes that our interpretation should be meaningful and relevant to the diverse global readers of the 21st century, and that we should be open to diversity of meaning, significance, and application. Now, I know that's what postmodern hermeneutics says, but I don't see, in Acts 2:38, I don't see diversity of meaning. Be ye holy, for I'm holy. I don't see diversity of meaning. You must be born again. I don't see diversity of meaning. So again, I understand how he's writing and who he's writing to. the inherent diversity of Pentecostalism can provide a framework for this task. More particularly, Oneness Pentecostalism has adopted a form of Christology that bears more affinity to first century Jewish expression than the Greek philosophical categories. Now that's great. Ugh, that's a great statement. Oneness thinking and language can thus be useful in contextualizing Christian theology in non-Western culture and engaging other religions such as Judaism and Islam, and I agree with that. Moreover, since first century Christian discourse originally occurred in a non-Western context, perhaps oneness Christology can provide a lens or at least a backdrop by which to appreciate early Christian perspectives more fully. It said, at the same time, I have attempted to use methods and tools that do not depend on certain faith commitments. So that's kind of interesting there. So so in that one paragraph in the next sentence, you've got amazing stuff, and then some like, we don't want to be misinterpreted here. And then as a matter of scholarship, I seek to give serious consideration to a wide range of exegetical views and options to glean insights from other perspectives. But at the end of the day, he is full-throated oneness. Don't make any question about that. He is totally oneness. So something else, I'll just read a couple more passages. Again, picking up mid-sentence. Well, I'll start at the beginning of a sentence. This is on page 1. It's not listed on here, it's page 1. Okay, first, by revisiting and redescribing Christian origins, we can examine possibilities for today. Tradition can be a positive force for communicating beneficial concepts and solutions across centuries, but it can be a restrictive force that precludes consideration of options for contemporary circumstances. And boy, that's just true. There's no doubt about it that that's true. The materials for our study are ancient written texts which developed by social processes and were embedded in socio-historical contexts. Although associated with individual authors, texts are essentially produced by a community and read by another community. So now, as far as forever, O Lord, thy word is settled in heaven, and the process of inspiration, there's just some weakness there. There just is. But $35 book, I would highly recommend the book. At the end of the day, when you get to the last 2 or 3 pages, you're going to be saying, there is no doubt, 100%, that what you and I believe as apostolics, oneness Pentecostals, is what Paul was writing from, the perspective Paul was writing from, and that 2 Corinthians 4 verses 4 through 6 is absolutely 100% it. Now, also, I'm going to tell you this. The bibliography is basically worth the price of the book. He's got sources from everywhere. I'm still in bibliography, and I started halfway through it. Fantastic. So Brother Bernard, wading through the waters of secularism and Trinitarian Christianity, has given us a book that, and I think this book has the possibility of winning or presenting our view in ways that have never been presented, and maybe winning some major Trinitarians. I won't mention their names. So God bless you today. Have a great day in Jesus.